What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Jared from Subway here, back at it again to drop What If Naruto Was the 10 Tails Jinchuriki? Now, I have done a part 1 of this, and although it says the movie, this was originally a part 1 series, so if you simply want to skip to the rest of the series and you've already seen part 1, there will be a timestamp up on screen. That being said though, guys, for any new viewers, what's up? My name's Zether. I'm happy to have you here. And if you go on to enjoy any part of this full series story, then please consider going down below, smashing that like button, and also hitting that red subscribe button. But without any further ado, I hope you guys go on to enjoy the video.
Hey Ross, sauce it up.
Okay, so the tale of What If Naruto Was the 10 Tails Jinchuriki is all going to be starting off long ago, during the era of the Sage of the Six Paths. The 10 Tails at this point was already in Hagoromo's possession after sealing Kaguya. Now, as he gazes at the ball that's holding the tailed beast, he would pretty much think back to his mother. How his mother entrusted the secret of other Itsutskis that would possibly arrive to take over the planet in fear of, what would happen to Kaguya or her sons at the time. Fearing this fate, he would proceed to actually think that it would probably be a better chance of survival for humanity if he was to essentially seal the tailed beast in a land covered by whirlpools, as he would basically use this to protect humanity. This would basically pretty much be Ashura, since he would have a successor pretty much protect the tailed beast's secret from not getting leaked. However, Indra, being angered at the fact that his father chose Ashura instead of him, would try his best to basically attain the power of the 10 Tails, but it would be being protected by his father and son. And after this, we would basically have Indra give up, vowing that one day he would claim back the throne, and the secret of the Chaos Beast was passed down to the Uzumakis, never to be told. However, another attack would commence. Black Zetsu. Black Zetsu during these times would actually end up engraving it on the stone tablet, adding the location of where the 10 Tails is, and basically having it so that only an Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan would ever be able to read the stone tablet. This is when a long more time would happen, and finally, Madara Uchiha would finally find the stone tablet. After this would proceed to basically lead in Madara to enact his plan. However, before he could even enact it, he would be spotted by the Uzumaki grounds, called on by a bunch of Uzumakis basically, as Hashirama would be called on by the Uzumakis to pretty much defeat Madara. And Madara and the Hashirama fight would pretty much go as it would in canon, with the exclusion of Madara even having the 9 Tails, because he's not going to be having access to that. Instead, we're going to be saying that Madara has access to a different gigantic beast that he ends up coating with the Susanoo armor, which is still powerful, but just nowhere near the power of the 9 Tails. And so, we basically have that going down with Madara and Hashirama fight. Hashirama would actually end up winning this battle a lot easier than he does in canon. And the secrets of the 10 Tails being sealed, where the location of the 10 Tails sealing would pretty much be told to Hashirama after this. As after this, with the knowledge of the fact that the 10 Tails beast lies very near to the village, Hashirama would form an alliance with the Uzumaki clan and have a secret chain of shinobi who would basically protect the 10 Tails, only known by the Hokage. However, in years of time after passing, Hiruzen would make the grave mistake of telling Orochimaru about this in his youth, making Orochimaru possessed with gaining his power, like obsessed basically, not possessed, but obsessed with gaining the power of the 10 Tails, and through time and patience would finally learn how to break that seal, as he would proceed to unleash the 10 Tails Jinchuriki, and all-out war would commence in the land of the whirlpools that would wipe out the Uzumaki clan, even Kushina, and many other ninjas would end up dying during this occasion. This would lead to the Ten Tails aimlessly destroying a bunch of villages. Now, when I say even Kushina, I don't mean she dies in this time, but she eventually ends up getting wiped out on a certain day when the Ten Tails and the war essentially reaches Konoha. During this time, the Ten Tails would basically be wandering aimlessly, destroying more and more villages. And during this time, instead of having something like the Third Great Shinobi War happen, instead it is the Ten Tails which is the catalyst to begin everything. This would lead to a bunch of things just being destroyed until the Ten Tails and Cherokee would reach Konoha. Or no, not the Ten Tails and Cherokee, but the Ten Tails Beast would reach Konoha. After this is where Minato and Hiruzen and all the available shinobi would end up going on an all-out brawl against the Ten Tails, as it is on this very same day that Naruto Uzumaki would be born. Seeing no other choice, Minato would seal the Ten Tails within the Reaper Death Seal inside of his very own son, Naruto, and this would lead to Naruto essentially having the Ten Tails sealed within himself, causing Minato's death and making Hiruzen promise that Naruto will be cared for a lot, as if this secret is not kept, Naruto and the rest of the other great nations will lay waste to their land. Seeing as now none of them have like any real protection, they are very vulnerable, and with the destruction of the village comes a lot of work to be done. And so Hiruzen, actually seeing this great power of the Ten Tails, would fear Naruto's power. So instead of ostracizing him just like he does in the normal version, we're actually going to be having it so that after the Ten Tails is sealed, after Hiruzen obviously knows the great power of the Ten Tails, he would keep the secret, knowing that Naruto, if this secret was to leak out, then more chaos and war would ensue. And so we would essentially just have him using a sort of jutsu that would transform Naruto's body. Because after Naruto had the Ten Tails sealed within him, we understand now that basically people's skin would grow white after the Ten Tails is sealed within them. So what Hiruzen would do in order to stop any like real suspicion from occurring with Naruto is he would essentially proceed to use a jutsu on him to essentially change his skin back to normal. A transformation jutsu of sorts, which is very similar to that of the one that Tsunade uses to essentially stay young, except it would be more of like a sealed jutsu which would keep Naruto's appearance in check. That being said, Naruto would look like just an ordinary kid as he would grow up. During Naruto's years growing up in the village, he would pretty much try to learn chakra, but there's one thing. He has so much chakra, with the fact that the Ten Tails is blocking off a lot of Naruto's chakra, and day by day a small little amount of the Ten Tails of chakra is basically leaking out, smaller and smaller portions coming out every day. Naruto's chakra control would just be awful, completely terrible, and Naruto would have almost no access to chakra. So instead of Naruto focusing on trying to learn chakra control, seeing as Hiruzen's not going to kick Naruto out to his own apartment, instead he would actually have one person, the perfect person for the job, to train Naruto. This person would be Guy. As Guy would end up basically training Naruto regularly alongside Lee, showing him things such as push-ups, sit-ups, and basically having him learn nothing but taijutsu, engraving one lesson inside of Naruto. If you cannot use chakra, if you cannot use ninjutsu, then you will rely on taijutsu. So during these next couple of years, Naruto would actually end up befriending Rock Lee and end up training with, Lee and Guy. And so during these years, Naruto would actually end up, train aimlessly with Guy, as he would grow very, very powerful. When I said aimlessly, I just mean like it would not stop. But I guess that was a really bad use of the word aimlessly. But yeah, Naruto would pretty much train religiously with Guy, learning, Might Guy's the power of youth. And one thing that would actually cause Might Guy to really be impressed with Naruto is Naruto's strength. Naruto's taijutsu is actually going to be very well in this, very well versatile. No, why am I saying that? It's going to be very, very versatile in this version of events. And Naruto would actually be very, very powerful. During this time, Naruto would still not be able to access chakra. However, he would work trying to access chakra every single day up until he finally arrives at the academy, where at this point, Naruto is pretty decently strong. And at this point, even though Naruto doesn't really have access to any of his own chakra, with the small amount of chakra that leaks out from the Ten Tails, sometimes this chakra would overflow out of Naruto. Naruto. And as of recently, Naruto's blows and hits have just been so powerful. Naruto's just been having this aura come off of him. Hiruzen would try to reseal the thing, but it wouldn't exactly work. You can't just seal, like you can't just tighten, the seal. I mean, actually, yeah, you could, since Jiraiya did it, but we're just going to be saying that this was a different variant of the seal that was normally in place, because why not? Let's say instead of just Minato sealing it, since Kushina is there and the Uzumakis are really good at sealing things, I believe it was, then we're just going to say that they would both end up sealing it. So this seal is very, very, very powerful. And so we would basically just have it so that when Naruto was going to the academy, instead of just completely being called a demon and being treated like garbage, Naruto would definitely have a lot of kids teasing him for the fact that he simply cannot use chakra. And so Naruto would grow up essentially very powerful. Not exactly in the sense of being like the best ninjutsu or genjutsu user, but Naruto is, very well versed in the sense of taijutsu. So when he's growing up and pretty much on his first day at the academy, Naruto would pretty much just be told to spar against Sasuke. During this day that they would spar, Naruto would actually fold Sasuke like an omelet, completely embarrassing Sasuke. But seeing as Sasuke is not some emo kid, he doesn't take this loss to heart, and instead, when Sasuke ends up going home, he ends up telling Itachi about a kid in his class who was very, very powerful, a kid by the name of Naruto. Sasuke would be very excited to fight Naruto again and would ask Itachi to actually train him, asking him if he can help his brother get stronger. Itachi would actually end up, acknowledging his little brother this time and saying, "Sure, Sasuke, I can train you." So he would help Sasuke out with training a little bit more, but that's not really going to help Sasuke out too much. Sasuke gets a little more training than he does in canon, but it's really not going to make that crazy of a difference. So let's just say that for the following years, with Naruto being the 10-tailed Jinchuriki, he would honestly be the most powerful person in the class. He continues to train with Maikai every other day, and he continues to try to use his chakra. However, he can't even form a measly shadow clone because of the fact that the 10-tails is not allowing Naruto to use his chakra. Naruto has not known this yet, but as soon as the seal would weaken, Naruto is going to be fighting some very, very, important inner demons. Because this 10-tailed Jinchuriki is not something that just any ordinary ninja can keep in check. So when Naruto was at the age of 11, he would pretty much end up finding out what is inside of him before Mizuki would even be able to tell Naruto in the original. However, Mizuki wouldn't even know of Naruto having the 10-tails in this version because that's an S-rank shinobi secret, something that only the Hokage knows. Not even Danzo is aware of this, because Hiruzen understands that if Danzo was to get wind of this, he would probably let that slip, and this would just be catastrophic for the village. So one day when Naruto is pretty much passed out, we would have it so that Naruto enters his mindscape for the very first time. Now, when Naruto enters his mindscape, he would see a gigantic cage, and it is literally like, do you guys remember how giant the one for the 9-tails was? Just imagine that times 10. And that's literally what is guarding the 10-tails from getting to Naruto. When Naruto sees this gigantic monstrosity, he would widen his mouth, like his jaw would drop as he would just say, "What the?" as the 10-tails would shoot a claw right at Naruto, and Naruto would literally be inches away from the claw piercing Naruto. Naruto would step back as he would fall into the murky waters and say, "What are you?" as the 10-tails would let out a gigantic screech and Naruto would wake up from his mindscape. Also, quick thing guys, sorry for my chair in the background just squeaking, but I'm moving around a little bit trying to get comfortable. So if that's a problem, apologies. But with that being said, let's get back into the story. After this, after Naruto understands what it is that he has within himself, he would pretty much struggle as he would finally realize why Naruto isn't able to use his own chakra. And with this being said, Naruto would decide that he's not going to be letting some monster that lives within his body to control whether he can or can't use chakra. And so we would essentially get to the day where of the finals, one of the final days of the academy, where they are finally all told to pretty much take this little exam to see where they are all going to be placed in terms of the academy and all this stuff. And so Naruto would pretty much just proceed to be in the back of the classroom. Iruka would call Naruto's name and say, "Naruto, would you please come up to the front of the classroom?" Immediately a bunch of people in the class would start chuckling as they're like, "Yeah, Naruto might be strong, but you don't have any chakra control." Naruto goes up there begrudgingly, just like, "Quiet," as everybody just looks at him and starts smirking, chuckling in the back. And it's just like a little weird as well as wholesome scene, I guess you could say, because everyone's like not being bullies, but they're just being a little mean, you know what I mean? But Naruto understands that. And so Naruto would basically go up there. Everybody would watch as Naruto would struggle to form even one shadow clone, as people would burst out into a laughter, and Naruto would turn to them saying, "Shut up, I'm still gonna be the Hokage, you know," as everybody would start saying, yeah, we know Naruto, as, you know, a couple of the people would just be like, "Don't feel too bad, Naruto, it's fine. It's okay if you can't use ninjutsu. I mean, it's not like you're the weakest in the class. If you were, then that'd be bad, but you're fine. You're still gonna be the rookie of the year, right?" Naruto would chuckle as he would just, you know, do the trademark thing where Naruto rubs the bottom of his nose, as he would say, "Yeah, you're right." Sasuke would go up, as it would just be a shadow clone that walks up there and creates another shadow clone. And Naruto would look at Sasuke's direction as he would say, "You lucky little," as Sasuke's like, "What was that?" And Naruto would just be like, "Nothing." Sasuke would just walk, like, just kind of smirk, as he thinks that, yeah, he may not be more, powerful than Naruto, but at least he can use ninjutsu. So maybe someday he will be powerful, more powerful than Naruto. So Naruto would proceed to sit back, where he would essentially be sitting next to Hinata. Now, no, this doesn't mean that Hinata is going to be the ship. I honestly still haven't decided who it is that Naruto is even going to be shipped with, if at all. So yeah, we're just kind of going to keep that up in the air. In case you guys have any ship ideas and how to incorporate them into the series, then please do comment away down below in the comments and let me know what ship ideas you guys have. With that being said though, Naruto would proceed to essentially go as he would take the written portion, the final part of the exam. Mizuki would hand out all of the tests, as he would pretty much fail Naruto's. Now Naruto would be shocked as to how he got such a low score, and Mizuki would say not to worry, that there's still one more secret part of the exam. Naruto, hearing this, would actually understand that Mizuki is definitely lying, because in all the time that he's known Hiruzen, he was never told about any secret portion of the Genin exams. And so Naruto was like, secret portion, huh? Alright, very interesting, I've never heard about it. But Mizuki, being the snake that he is, would just say, "Oh yeah, trust Naruto, it's definitely real. Like, you will not get in trouble at all. Like, trust me, Naruto." Naruto would say, "Oh, alright, sure thing, man," as he would basically go over to Hiruzen's, the area, as he was about to actually inform Hiruzen of the fact that Mizuki is probably a traitor. However, before he was even able to inform Hiruzen, he noticed that he wasn't even in the office. Naruto would think, "Where's the old man now?" As Hiruzen would pretty much be at a meeting, and there would actually be no Anbu in the room. So Naruto would go over to the scroll, as he would pretty much unravel it. Naruto, seeing the contents inside, would see a jutsu by the name of the multi-shadow clone jutsu, and think, "Oh, I'm gonna borrow this." He would go out there to the forest where he was supposed to meet Mizuki, as Naruto would be thinking that he's just going to handle Mizuki himself. Naruto is very, very powerful in this version of events, in terms of just taijutsu. Naruto doesn't even have access to any of the gates at this point, but he does have access to, the incredible strength and power that the 10-tailed Jinchuriki offers you. So that's pretty much evens out for the fact that he doesn't have the gates though. So this is when Naruto would go outside. Now obviously, in the span of about 10 minutes, Naruto would learn this jutsu, as when Mizuki arrives, Naruto would see Mizuki there, as Mizuki's like, "Naruto, hand over the scroll." Naruto would turn towards Mizuki, as he would say, "Why? I thought I was just supposed to get it. I didn't know I was supposed to give it to you." Just kind of playing it dumb. As Mizuki would say, "Oh, you're playing it dumb, huh?" He would say, "Alright, Naruto," as he would turn his attention towards him, as he would grab a shadow clone off of his back. No, not a shadow clone, but the gigantic little shuriken blade, as he would throw it at Naruto's direction, saying, "Die!" Naruto would jump over it, as he would he would create the hand signs for the multi-shadow clone jutsu and say, "Multi-shadow clone jutsu!" Immediately, literally 5,000 clones would appear, as Naruto just has a gigantic amount of clones, and they would rush at Mizuki, as Mizuki would widen his eyes and a gigantic puff of smoke would appear. Hiruzen at this point would be watching this all going down from his crystal ball, as Naruto would quite literally mess Mizuki up beyond belief. Mizuki's body wouldn't even be recognizable after what happens to him. And Naruto would just look at all of his clones, as he just says, "Did I do that?" And you would just hear a gigantic like thing of Naruto saying, "Did I do that?" As Naruto was just shocked. He finally used the jutsu. Naruto would literally be so excited, as he would grab Mizuki's body in the scroll and rush over to Hiruzen's office, where Hiruzen would be expecting Naruto and say, "So Naruto, you got something for me?" Naruto would say, "You saw that?" As Hiruzen just like, "Yeah." Naruto would say that he found Mizuki as he's like, is that even Mizuki? Hiruzen would look at the body as he's like, ain't no way that's him, bro. Like, I thought his hair was white, not red. As Naruto's like, oh yeah, I might have gone a little overboard. As Hiruzen is just like, whatever. And Mizuki's taken away. Mizuki's obviously not dead, but you know, he's unrecognizable from the face, and you know, that's what I meant by unrecognizable. So after this, Hiruzen would stop Naruto before he leaves, as he would ask Naruto a question. What was different about this jutsu that let Naruto use it? Naruto would say that he doesn't know, but for some reason he felt as if chakra control wasn't too important with this jutsu. He just let all of his chakra loose like he always tries to, and it worked for some reason. Holding chakra and using a small amount is incredibly hard for Naruto, but using a mass amount of it at once is almost as easy as breathing for him. Naruto has almost limitless amounts of chakra within himself, and Hiruzen understanding this would actually give Naruto the scroll, as he would ask Naruto to learn a couple more jutsus. Naruto would say, really? As Hiruzen would say, yeah, knock yourself out. He would actually say, wait Naruto, actually learn this jutsu for me, as he would show Naruto the flying Raijin. And Naruto would actually be wondering what this is, as Hiruzen would explain to Naruto as he would close the door and say, Naruto, so there's something that I think that you should probably know by now. Naruto would start listening as Hiruzen would say, your father. I need to tell you who your father is, Naruto. Naruto's eyes would widen as he would say, you're finally going to tell me? Hiruzen would then nod as he would simply take in a deep breath and say, your father, Naruto, is Minato Namikaze. Naruto would just be shocked at this revelation as he would say, Lord Fourth? Hiruzen would then turn his attentions towards Naruto as he would say, yes Naruto, the fourth Hokage is your father. He would then begin to try to explain that Kushina is also his mother, but Naruto would say, well, why would you never tell me who my father was? Why couldn't you have just told me that the fourth Hokage was my dad? But this is when Hiruzen would stick his hand out and simply sign to Naruto to stay quiet, like he was about to get to that part. And so Naruto would do so. Naruto would simply like sit back down as he's just like, so what about that? Hiruzen would then begin to essentially explain why he never told Naruto who his father was, and also explaining to Naruto who Kushina Uzumaki is, his mother. This is when he would essentially stay quiet for about 30 seconds before Naruto would break the silence by saying, and what else? As Hiruzen would say, the 10 Tails Naruto. You have the 10 Tails beast sealed within you. This is a secret which nobody should ever know. Because if this was to slip out, this could mean an entire world war. Every single nation will go under war trying to take down the Leaf Village, saying that we have all the powerful Jinchuriki with us, that it's like an asset. And Naruto will then basically begin to have it explained to him how dangerous and how much of a responsibility it is to be the 10 Tails Jinchuriki in the first place. This isn't some walk in the park that Naruto can simply just go through like as if it was nothing, you understand? And Naruto, you know, understanding this concept would say, so that's what that beast was. With Hiruzen being shocked, saying, what, you've seen the 10 Tails? Naruto would say it was this like white looking creature with a red eye and tails, so many tails. Hiruzen would say 10 to be exact. When I was around my young ages, I had to fight against the 10 Tails alongside your father, Minato. It was a very hard fought battle, and by the end of it, he ended up having to give his life away to seal the beast inside of you. That's what stopped all these wars. That's the reason that chaos doesn't ensue on the lands anymore. Naruto, you have the key to stopping all war and just causing peace to spread among the lands. But you need to keep this a secret, Naruto. Do you understand? Naruto would look at Hiruzen's direction as he would say, I think I do. As Hiruzen would basically nod his head and tell Naruto that that would be it for today. Naruto would look at Hiruzen as he would say, alright, well, thanks for telling me, Lord Third. Or should I say, old man. As he would walk out of the office, and Naruto would take in a deep breath as he would wonder, so what now? Naruto would end up going to his house as he would proceed to simply just lay down and rest, taking all of this information in. As the very next day, he would make his way towards the academy, where Naruto would then be assigned to Team 7. This is where Naruto would obviously be assigned to the team which has Sasuke and Sakura within it. And this is when Naruto would essentially proceed to just kind of sit there in the classroom as he watches everybody else be taken by their other senseis like Kurenai, Asuma, and Might Guy, I think. No, Might Guy was last year. So yeah, all of the rest of the Jonin's senseis would pretty much come in and take the rest of the teams, as Team 7 would be really the only one left there. And they would sit there as they would wait for an entire 2 hours. Now, with Naruto, he would feel as if the time would have simply blown by like so very fast, as Naruto is just like, he's not exactly sitting there like taking into account how much time has passed, because Naruto would be too deep in thought to be like caring about how long Kakashi has to arrive. And with that, Kakashi finally ends up arriving 2 hours later, as he would knock on the desk saying, "Hello?" Naruto would get awake from his daze as he would look at Kakashi's direction and say, what? Kakashi would say, "I'm your Jonin sensei, meet me upstairs." Naruto would say, "Yeah, right," as he would put his hands in his pockets and simply walk over there, being the last one to arrive. It's at this point when Naruto would arrive and hear Kakashi explain, that they're going to be doing introductions. He would then ask Kakashi to give them an example, as Kakashi would say, "My likes, none of your business. My dislikes, none of your business. My goals, none of your business." I bet you didn't see that one coming, as Naruto is simply just sitting there like, okay, I like that. As it's at this point that Naruto would quite literally sit down, as Sasuke would be the first one to go. He would say, "My name is Sasuke Uchiha. My goal is not a goal, but it's something that I will turn into a reality." As Sakura would just sit there looking like a trash bag, and Naruto would literally just begin to say, "My dream is to become the Hokage of the Hidden Leaf Village. My dislikes are people who are annoying, people who cry a lot, and whatever else he says," okay? Because I honestly cannot think of what else he would even say. So obviously after this, we would proceed to have them all essentially going on 2 weeks worth of missions. Well, not really, or so they would think. They're just going to go on some missions. But before that, we have to do the bell test. So with today and the bell test happening, here's what we're going to be having happen. So obviously after the team pretty much gives their all introductions and all of that stuff, we basically have the entirety of Team 7 heading off to their own homes. This is where the very next day they would all meet up towards the little bell area, where Kakashi would of course arrive very late. Now this time, Naruto definitely does take into account how long it took Kakashi to arrive there. And he did get pretty irritated because of the fact that, Kakashi saying show up at 6, but he's going to show up at 9, you know what I mean? It's doesn't feel very good, to say the least. And so with that, we basically have Kakashi arriving late, you know what I mean? And after this, Kakashi, obviously arriving late, he would pretty much end up being like, "Sorry guys, I got lost on the track of life." Everybody would not buy this lame excuse, as they would say, "Let's just get on with it." And Kakashi would simply be like, "Alright," as he would proceed to tell everybody to just, get their stuff together, as he would look at all of their directions, explaining that there's 2 bells. Whoever doesn't get a bell will be sent right back to the academy. As everybody would be on high alert, thinking, "I have to get a bell." Sakura thinking, "If I don't get a bell, then I won't be on the team with Sasuke." Sasuke would simply be thinking, "My dream." As, Naruto would simply be thinking that this is going to be a piece of cake. Because keep in mind, Naruto at this point has access to a whole lot of shadow clones. Alright? So as soon as the battle starts, here's literally what would happen. Naruto would look at Kakashi's direction, as he would think that it would probably be best to, see how powerful Kakashi is. It's at this point that Naruto would proceed to rush in at Kakashi's direction while Sasuke and Sakura go hide. Sasuke would be thinking that this guy's a fool if he thinks that even with being the Rookie of the Year, he was going to be able to stop someone like a Jonin. As he would be watching in the bushes, basically just preying on Naruto's downfall, saying, "I can't wait to see this loser fail." You know what I mean? And at this point, that Naruto would simply just rush at Kakashi's direction, as he would throw a powerful kick, which would actually cause Kakashi to have to put his book down. The book would be flung out of his hands, with the force of Naruto pushing Kakashi back. It's at this point that Naruto would land on the ground, as he would let out a smirk, and Kakashi would think, "Oh, so you're gonna knock out my beautiful X-rated book out of my hand? I think not." As he would rush at Naruto's direction, simply swinging at a kunai, and he would rush at Naruto as he would go in to cut Naruto, but Naruto would then proceed to essentially kick the kunai out of his hands, as he would spin mid-air and drop down a kick, saying, "Leave Hurricane!" And it's at this point that Kakashi's eyes would widen, saying, "Leave Hurricane," as he would jump back and it would leave a crater in the ground. Kakashi would be shocked, saying, "This isn't the strength of a Genin," As it's at this point that Naruto would keep pressing Kakashi until Kakashi is basically just backed up into a corner. It's at this point that Kakashi would say, use a substitution jutsu to create some distance, as he would then lift his headband thinking that this kid is no joke, asking himself how this kid is even this powerful. And it's at this point that Naruto would simply say, alright, well, I guess it's time to bring out the big guns, as he would proceed to hold up 2 hand signs saying, multi-shadow clone jutsu! And it's at this point that Kakashi would be like, multi-shadow clone, as he would see a bunch, and I mean 5,000 Naruto clones. Like, it's literally just a bunch of black hoodies, some black pants, and the black little shoes, just rushing at Kakashi with blonde hair. And by the way, Naruto doesn't even have any whiskers because, you know, he's not the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. So no whiskers there. But yeah, imagine 5,000 Naruto just coming at your direction with the power of like Shippuden's chakra behind their punches and blows. That is a very terrifying thought. And so Kakashi, seeing this, would proceed to essentially like widen both of his eyes, thinking to himself, there is no way he's going to be getting out of that one. And what Kakashi would do is essentially create 10 shadow clones, as he would proceed to basically weave the hand signs for an earth-style mud wall. Gigantic walls would appear as all of the Narutos coming in together would simply punch at these mud walls and they would shatter, with them rushing in Kakashi's direction, with Kakashi holding his hands over his face thinking, oh no. But it's at this point that the clones would simply grab the bell saying, I got him! And, you know, Kakashi would be like, huh? As, you know, Naruto would throw the bells at Sasuke and Sakura's direction saying, we passed, right? As Kakashi's just like, what? As Naruto was just like, yeah, we passed, right? With Kakashi just being in like utter disbelief, like, dude, you just shoved in like 5,000 shadow clones, bro. Like, what do you mean? Why are you focused on passing, bro? I thought I was gonna die. And Naruto would just be sitting there like with a giant smirk across his face, thinking that, yeah, they passed. To which at this point, Kakashi would say, well, this was an exercise about teamwork, but since you gave your teammates the bells, I guess that's as much teamwork as I'm gonna get from some Genin students. So he would say, you passed. But before that, I need to tell you guys something. Those who abandon their ninjas, blah, 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 you guys get the point, okay? Obviously, after this, they would end up being assigned to 2 weeks worth of worthless missions. And I'm talking complete bogus missions. Like, these missions are like time wasters. Even I could complete these missions. And so we would basically have all of them essentially just kind of doing their own thing and just kind of getting all the missions done. Until eventually Sakura would be very tired of these lame missions, saying, these missions don't even taste our abilities. Lord Third, could we please be assigned some harder missions? With Kakashi simply nodding his head in agreement, saying that he believes that his team could probably do so. Because, you know, you gotta take in mind, this Sakura is still just as useless as the one in canon. Naruto is exponentially more powerful than the Naruto when he was a Genin. And Sasuke is actually a little stronger than our canon Sasuke because, you know, he ended up training a little harder because he had somebody who could push him just that little extra mile, you know what I mean? And so we basically have a Team 7 who's a little stronger than a canon, you know what I mean? And so with that, Zabuza would basically, or no, not Zabuza, but Tazuna would basically walk into the room with Hiruzen saying, this is your mission. He would proceed to look at Naruto's direction and give him like a weird look. Naruto would understand what this means, as he's kind of trying to tell Naruto not to let any of this secret slip. Naruto would nod his head, as it to this point that the team would be disbanded until the next day. Obviously, they would meet up the next day at the gate, and this is where their mission would begin. About 30 minutes into their travels, they would end up running into the Demon Mist brothers. No, not the Demon Mist brothers, but the 2 Demon brothers, right? Now, with running into the 2 Demon Mist brothers, or no, I need to stop saying Demon Mist brothers, but when running into the 2 Demon brothers, they would of course have a Genjutsu up. Everybody in the team, excluding Sakura, would end up noticing that this is a Genjutsu, and obviously Tazuna, because he's not a ninja, would end up basically being on high alert. And it's at this point that the 2 Demon brothers would jump out of the Genjutsu water puddle, as they would rush Kakashi's direction and seemingly kill him in front of the teams. Naruto and Sasuke ended up noticing this, and they both were very quick to act. And here, Naruto would actually help Sasuke take out both of the ninjas down. Because if you guys do remember, in the original, Sasuke was able to react quite well to these 2 Demon brothers. And so with Naruto and Sasuke both reacting, we didn't even have to have the bridge builder be in any risk whatsoever. And so they end up taking these ninjas down with Naruto and Sasuke simply thinking that those must have been some random bandits. It's at this point that Kakashi would be very suspicious, but he would simply stay in the bush, as everybody would be like, but we lost Kakashi. Naruto would immediately be like, no, we didn't. Kakashi's over there. Just used a fake clone. As it's at this point that everybody would look at Kakashi's direction, saying, you're alive? As Kakashi would rub the back of his head, saying that he just wanted to see how his team would react in this situation, saying that they did a great job, as he would put out a thumbs up and then give Tazuna a very strange look of just like, what's going on here, buddy? As it's at this point that Tazuna would just stay quiet and continue walking. It's at this point that obviously about like, let's say 4 to 5 hours would go by when they would be very, very close to Tazuna's house, right? And it's here where they basically end up doing their little fight and encounter with Zabuza, the first one that is. Obviously, Zabuza would throw a sword, as everybody would duck down, trying not to get hit by it, and Zabuza would make his grand entrance saying, Kakashi, the copycat ninja of the leaf. Obviously, their battle still goes just like it does in canon, with Kakashi saying, stay out of the way, guys, and him just rushing in Zabuza's direction. But it's at this point that obviously Kakashi gets shunned in by like the little water prison jutsu, right? And I really need to stop saying obviously, but yeah, he would pretty much just be thrown into that little water prison jutsu, to which Kakashi would end up having a very hard time escaping from. He would look at his team as he would say, how could I have been so reckless, thinking that he was gonna die here. But this is when Naruto and Sasuke would both look at each other, as they would both be thinking, I'm gonna get him out of there. They would both rush at Zabuza's direction, as at this point, Sasuke doesn't even have no water walking experience or any. Actually, you know what? Let's say he does. All right. Let's say he knows how to water walk and tree walk already. So obviously, Sasuke ends up going over there, and he ends up trying to get into a taijutsu bout with Zabuza. But Zabuza is quick to shut him down with 3 water clones. But it's at this point that Haku would basically be watching from afar, as Naruto would say, multi-shadow clone jutsu! Immediately 5,000 clones would appear behind Naruto, as each one of them would say, the goal is to get Zabuza! Don't let Kakashi Sensei die! As all of them would say, yeah! And they would all literally rush at Zabuza's direction. Zabuza's eyes would widen so far, as it just looks like this man is cross-eyed. This man is like, ain't no way this kid just summoned 5,000 clones. He would be wondering how much chakra this kid has, as Haku, seeing this, would blitz in, grab Zabuza, as he would run out of there before anybody could even react, just thinking that, yup, ain't no way he's gonna let Zabuza die here and now. And so we basically have it to which that battle is pretty much over, with Kakashi dropping down to the floor and actually being able to stay conscious, because he never even ended up revealing his Sharingan against Zabuza. And so with that, we basically end up having this immense battle with Kakashi and Zabuza never even going down, until we basically have a little bit of a time skip. Now, the events with Inari and Naruto saying that he's a coward, and them going to the village and meeting Tsunami and the bridge builder's daughter, obviously, and then the bridge builder himself explaining to them why he lied. We basically have the day where the fateful bridge encounter would happen. Now, in this version of events, Naruto never ends up meeting Haku in the forest when he's training far too hard, because Naruto never has that little moment. Instead, Naruto just takes most of this time to rest whenever he's not actually with Tazuna. The person who doesn't take much time to rest, however, is Sasuke, and with that, we have a very decently more powerful Sasuke on our hands. Now, 2 weeks would go by, and it's at this point that they are getting very, very close to completing the bridge. And with that, we basically end up having the little encounter on the bridge. However, with that, we also have Gato's men arriving to Tsunami and Tazuna's house in order to essentially assassinate his family and himself, but he's not there. So Naruto would end up waking about 30 minutes later than in the original and he wakes up to some loud crashes and thuds. This would of course be the 2 little bandit guys who were trying to initially harm them, and Naruto would fold these 2 like a straight omelet. This man was not having any of it. And so with that, we basically have it to which Naruto, after saving both Inari and Tsunami, would say to Inari to be the man, since he has to protect his mother from now on. And Inari would nod his head saying, right, as Naruto would rush over towards the battle with Sasuke. However, when he arrives, he sees a horrible sight. He would see Sasuke laying down on the ground with multiple senbons in his back, and Kakashi being pressed heavily by Haku and Zabuza. And with Naruto seeing this, rage would boil up inside of himself as his whole aura would change. It would become so menacing, so bloodthirsty, so primal, you know what I mean? Like, it is just insane. The bloodlust coming off of Naruto would be something that, like, most ninjas will never ever have to experience a day in their life. And Naruto's eyes would just go from a red, from like this like blue, to this ominous purple like color. Immediately, Naruto's aura would change from that of his normal color to a purple, very powerful aura. And like some of the seal, which they basically have on him to essentially keep him from having his skin be white, would start cracking a little bit. As Naruto would notice a little white part of his hand just break, and like some white skin would be revealed. And it's at this point that we basically have Naruto blitzing, and I mean blitzing, at Zabuza and Haku's direction. He would immediately rip both of their hearts out in a Killua-like fashion as he would crush them in his hands and then rush at Kakashi, who literally just almost fell into the water. But Naruto would take one step onto the water, and it would literally create a like so much of the water would shoot out onto the land, literally causing the little lake that they were on to be like, let's say 10 inches less deep, because of just how much water Naruto literally kicked out from the fact that he just stepped in. Actually, let's say 2 feet deep, all right? And so, you know, they definitely lost a little bit of water for that bridge they were making. And so Naruto would then turn his attention towards Sasuke's direction, as he would just look at him and like tap Sasuke, trying to get him to wake up. As Naruto would bang on the ground saying, "Why? Why was I late?" As immediately Naruto would just put his hand over Sasuke's head, and Sasuke's wound would slowly begin to heal without Naruto even noticing it. The senbon would pop out of Sasuke's body as he would wake up and say, but Naruto already passed out before Sasuke could even wake up. And when Sasuke woke up, he would wake up to an unconscious Naruto, like literally laying on top of him. Sasuke would be like, "What are you doing?" as he would throw Naruto off. And with this, we basically have the Great Naruto Bridge still being named that. However, Naruto would end up waking up like literally a couple of hours later, after they already left the bridge builder area, with Kakashi literally having Naruto over his shoulders, and Naruto would open his eyes to see Sasuke standing. Immediately, Naruto, as he opens his eyes, is just like, "Sasuke?" As Sasuke looks at him and says, "Yo, what's up, you dope?" As Naruto's just like, I thought you were..." As Sasuke says, "Nah, I was injured, but thanks for saving all of our butts back there." As he would say, "A loser like you will never be able to pass me again." With Naruto chuckling and saying, "Don't call me a loser again, Sasuke. You were the one who lost without me anyways." As Sasuke would just kind of grudge, literally, what word would I use? He would quite literally like scoff, I guess you could say, as he would like kind of like clench his teeth together and just completely like ignore Naruto. Naruto would then tell Kakashi that he could walk on his own now, and Kakashi would say that he better be able to. He's been carrying him for 3 hours now. They're like halfway to the village. He better walk. Naruto would get up as they would finally make their way towards the village, to which Naruto would end up basically being released by Kakashi. And into this point, the Kakashi would go over to Hiruzen's place as he would explain to Hiruzen that they were attacked and that mission was definitely higher ranked. So their pay would have definitely gone up, and with that, we basically have it to which he explains this ominous aura coming off of Naruto, with Hiruzen saying that it must have leaked, as he would immediately try to find Naruto, but you know, he has to try to look at his house. He would have some Anbu summon Naruto, as it's at this point that Naruto would end up turning a corner trying to go to Ichiraku to go get something to eat, when he would see Kankuro holding up Konohamaru by his shirt. Naruto seeing this would immediately get angry. Like just imagine literally just coming home, and let's say you guys have siblings, right? Let's just say you have a sibling. Imagine you walk in and you just see somebody literally like beating on your sibling. You're gonna get enraged, like a lot. And that's literally the same feeling that Naruto gets when he sees Konohamaru being picked up. Immediately, Naruto would reach into his bag, grabbing a kunai, as he would throw it at Kankuro's direction, and Kankuro would be like just shocked. He would dodge out of the way, and Naruto would catch the kunai behind Kankuro, moving so fast it looked as if he even used the flying Raijin. as he would hold the blade right to Kankuro's throat, saying, "What do you think you're doing with the third Hokage's grandson?" Immediately, Kankuro would have like just sweat dripping down his face, thinking, I didn't know. As it's to this point that Naruto would look at him and give him a death stare, saying, "It doesn't matter if you didn't know. What are you doing messing with Konoha children?" As Kankuro would just be sweating bullets. And it's at this point that Gaara would step in, as he would say, hey, don't worry. Let him down, Kankuro. It's at this point that Naruto would proceed to look at Gaara's direction, as both of them would immediately have a sort of understanding that they kind of are gonna respect each other. Kankuro would drop Konohamaru as he would quickly apologize, and Temari would just be looking at Naruto's direction, as she's kind of like, how do I put this? She's like, how do I put this without making it sound weird? She's literally like eyeing Naruto and like, ooh, that man looking good, you know what I mean? She's like biting her lips, and she looks at Naruto's direction, and Naruto just looks at Temari as he kind of like smirks a little bit. But it's at this point that Naruto would have an Anbu appear behind him, as the Anbu would look at Naruto, saying that Hiruzen has summoned him to his office. Naruto would look at the Anbu as he would say, well, take Konohamaru with you. Make sure he gets home safe. Konohamaru would say, "Thanks, big bro Naruto," as immediately we would proceed to have Naruto summon in front of Hiruzen, with Hiruzen asking Naruto what happened on that mission to explain in grave detail. Naruto would tell Hiruzen that he felt great anger, and that with that anger came him really having a drive to save his team. And so Hiruzen, hearing this, would just be like, "Oh, I understand, Naruto." He would simply like nod his head, as Naruto would proceed to essentially just like get out of there, but Hiruzen would ask him how his seal is. Naruto's like his hand that would have had like a little bit of the Ten Tails like show would be perfectly, and the seal would look intact. And so Hiruzen would tell Naruto that he needs to be able to control his emotions, or else all hell would break loose. And so Naruto would nod his head, explaining that it'll never happen again. Hiruzen would nod as he would tell Naruto that he can go now. And it's at this point that Naruto would proceed to simply like smile. As there is one thing I definitely forgot to mention on my previous part, and that is basically just that Naruto can't be hurt unless it's literal senjutsu attacks. And I completely forgot that until I had to like stop the recording midway right now and read up on that. I was just like, yo, like, did I really just have all this stuff happen and like forget completely that Naruto can't even be damaged by non-senjutsu attacks? And to answer that question, yeah, I did. I did. All right, but that's besides the point. All right, so obviously Naruto would basically proceed to meet up with his team, and Kakashi would explain to them what the Chunin exams is. Obviously, all of them would end up being pretty hype about this, and they would all end up basically like just each preparing for it in their own unique ways. Everybody would have their own little mini trial to see if they are worthy of entering the Chunin exams, with them all passing. And then we basically have it to which Naruto would proceed to essentially enter the Chunin exams building. Obviously, as soon as they enter, they would see a very weak genjutsu, and they would all dispel it, with Sakura also being able to expel it too, because she's a genjutsu specialist, in case you didn't know. And so, not in this version, but like in normal Naruto, she's actually pretty good at genjutsu, even though she was caught off guard by one of Kakashi's, which was not even a very good genjutsu, but you know, to each their own. And so we basically have it to which Naruto would proceed to essentially just be walking in there, as he would see a boy with like white eyes, long hair, a girl by the name of Tenten with some knots on her head, and we basically see this guy with like a green jumpsuit, as it's Lee. Now when Lee looks at Naruto, they're like, "Hey, that's my boy!" As you know, they both just like look at each other and they rush at each other as they just dab each other up, you know what I mean? Like they're both just chilling. And Sasuke, seeing this like just display of friendship towards, you know, Lee, is just like, "Yo, pause, I thought you were my friend." And so we basically have it to which Sasuke gives Lee a very weird stare, with Lee saying, "Naruto, how have you been?" Naruto would look at Lee's direction as he would say, "Man, you know how I am." And Naruto and Lee would just start catching up. You know, they're having a little bro moment. Some bromance is going on. You know, some top tier bromance. You guys know what I'm talking about. Like when you guys see your friends and you guys are having your little bromantic moments, you know? And so obviously that's pretty much what's going down. And we basically have it To which Naruto would then look at Lee as Lee asked Naruto how powerful the, Uchiha and his team is. With, Naruto saying that, he's actually growing very rapidly. He's pretty powerful now. Lee would ask if he could spar him, and Naruto would just start chuckling as he would say, I don't know about that, Lee. Honestly, if you and him were to spar right now, you would probably, obliterate him. Sasuke hearing this would be like, yo, pause, what did you just say? And Naruto would be like, trust me, Sasuke, I know he may not look it, but he is very, very powerful. And it's at this point that Lee would just smile as he would say, don't worry, we'll fight in the Chunin exams, right? As he would just, kind of nod his head, and they would take the written part. I'm not going to cover anything of that. It's so boring. I'm just going to skip over to the Forest of Death. I'm not even going to be covering what the rules are or any of that stuff, or the Anko stuff that happens, or the Orochimaru encounter, none of that. And I'm kind of just going to be skipping to when they finally enter the forest and, they have their scroll. Now, when they are entering it, Naruto would end up saying that he has to go take a leak. And with this, Sasuke and Sakura pretty much end up waiting for him in the canonical canon area. To which Naruto would go, do his business. He grabs his 19-inch steel rod and just go, power washes that thing as he just proceeds to essentially get ambushed by a gigantic snake. Wielded, obviously it's a snake summoning from Orochimaru, but this gigantic snake would just rush at Naruto as the man is just trying to do his business, you know what I'm saying? But Naruto would proceed to essentially jump up into the air as literally he's still having some of his liquid come out. And when he jumps up, some of it would fall into the snake's eye, you know what I mean? And the snake would just be like, I don't know if snakes can show expressions, but the snake would definitely be bothered by it. And Naruto would end up simply saying, oh my god, as he's just irritated, but he finally finishes midair and he's grabbing his pants as he comes down and punches the snake right on the top of the snake's temple, the head, as the snake dead, literally paralyzed. It literally cannot move anything other than its eyes now. And Naruto would land as he quickly, zips up his pants and looks at his team. He's trying to find his team in any cost necessary, and the team is basically just literally having an encounter with Orochimaru as we speak, which means Sasuke versus Orochimaru, yada yada yada. You guys get the picture, right? So obviously with that, we basically have it so which Naruto ends up finally arriving where his team is at, and with this he sees his team fighting against some random weird looking ninja. Now at this point, Orochimaru has his neck stretched out and he's going to try to bite Sasuke, but actually, interestingly enough, Sasuke is actually able to avoid it by literally weaving out of the way and using Orochimaru's neck to quite literally swing to another tree. Now, it's at this point that Naruto arrives and literally clamps down onto the ground, the same tree that, no wait, he doesn't climb down onto the ground, but he literally arrives right on the same tree branch that Sasuke's on, sorry, as Sasuke would look at Naruto's direction saying, you're finally here, you dope. As, Naruto would say, I wouldn't have missed it for the world. Immediately, Orochimaru looks at Naruto's direction and says, Sasuke. As he's simply just wanting this man's body. This man is bricked up, you know what I'm saying? And Naruto would look at Orochimaru as he's like, who is this weirdo? As Orochimaru simply starts laughing maniacally as he starts literally having his face melt off, revealing the white skin with some of the purple parts on it. Immediately, Naruto seeing white skin, he's like, just like me. And immediately Naruto would rush at Orochimaru's direction as he would say, you have it too? As he would punch Orochimaru square in the jaw, sending him flying. Orochimaru was expecting something that he was going to be able to simply tank, but no, Naruto quite literally sent him crashing into 6 different trees, breaking them all down. Orochimaru immediately feeling the impact of this blow would just be shocked at how powerful this kid is. And it's at this point that Naruto would say that he's not going to get out of here alive, as he would say, multi-shadow clone jutsu, putting in twice as much chakra as he usually does. Immediately, the forest would be engulfed with 10,000 Naruto clones, and the entire forest of death would literally just be nothing but Naruto. A bunch of the clones would begin to rush at Orochimaru's direction, and they are just following this man to the ends of the earth. Orochimaru would eventually just be like, yeah, he's having way too hard of a time. And it's at this point that we basically have the Sound 4, who essentially arrives right in front of Orochimaru, as Orochimaru is given just enough time to pretty much reverse summon himself out of there and barely, and I mean barely, escape with his life. Naruto would begrudgingly like get angry and just be like, damn it, why couldn't I get him? As it's at this point that he would just grab the scroll that Orochimaru left behind and end up making his way towards the tower. Now, as soon as all of the clones went back to Naruto, Naruto gained so much information, and it is at this moment that Naruto finally realized what the secret of the Shadow Clone is. Naruto seeing this would be like, that's actually pretty OP. And it's at this point that Orochimaru would basically have slightly sensed this ominous like power coming off of Naruto's direction. He wasn't quite able to put two and two together quite yet, but it's something that he's only sensed when he was around the presence of the Ten Tails. And Orochimaru is just terrified, but at the same time, he wants Naruto's body. A host who has as much chakra as Naruto does would be something so beneficial towards Orochimaru's goals and just ambitions as a whole. So Orochimaru ends up devising a plan to essentially end up stealing Naruto's body along with Sasuke. However, Orochimaru does know that this isn't going to be some walk in the park like it was to take Sasuke's body. So we end up having the rest of the exams play out. Now, obviously, they would end up meeting back at the Genin exam towers not Chunin exam towers, as they're all basically sitting there waiting. Naruto's team would actually end up being the second team to arrive because Gaara's team ended up making their way first, because Gaara isn't some bloodthirsty killer who's just like having fun. Instead, he got a scroll and made his way towards the tower. His whole like team and stuff like that is way better than what it was in the original, because Gaara isn't some bloodthirsty person, and he also does have access to his sand as well as have access to his mother's sand that protects him. However, he doesn't have access to any of Shukaku's abilities because of the fact that, he's not the Jinchuriki of the One Tails. And so we basically have it so that Naruto ends up arriving to the tower and he ends up flirting it up with Temari a little bit. So yeah, after this, we end up having it so that a couple of more days would go by. We would finally end up having the little elimination battles, which means Naruto versus Kiba, Hinata versus Neji, Gaara versus Lee. Now, when these battles actually do play out, we're going to be saying that things end up actually changing a lot for the better in this version. For the battle against Gaara and Lee is actually the one who ends up being victorious because Gaara doesn't have the One Tail's influence with himself, and he's just like not as bloodthirsty. So after Lee would have ended up landing that flying lotus attack on Gaara would have not been able to get up. He wouldn't have even had the willpower to continue fighting. So Lee ends up winning that battle. Not only that, but Lee's actually even more powerful than the Lee in the original canon, and it just kind of made his victory a little more solidified. With that, we have the fight with Neji versus Hinata. Now, this battle would end up going exactly like it does in canon, with Naruto being very aggravated at the fact that Neji was able to simply attack one of his own kinsmen without caring at all. Sasuke ends up winning his own battle, and the rest of the battles play out as you guys would expect. Now, after this, we obviously will be having the 1 month training period. And during that 1 month, Naruto would actually end up bumping into Jiraiya after the 2-week mark. But after about 2 weeks, Naruto would have ended up essentially keep trying to learn the flying Raijin technique. Naruto would end up looking through Uzumaki seals and stuff like that and end up finding the archives for, what his clan does. He ends up finding out that his clan has masses, and I mean masses amounts of chakra. And Naruto just kind of contributes that to the fact that he can summon like 10,000 clones at one time, which is an absurd number when you really stop and think about it. Just imagine 10,000 people rushing at you with the strength of like Sakura at the beginning of Shippuden. That's ludicrous. So yeah, after this, we basically have 2 weeks worth of Naruto learning the flying Raijin and mastering it. And with Naruto's almost limitless pool of chakra, he can literally spam it as much as he wants to. There is not a thing anybody could do to him if he really felt like spamming it in your face. So we basically have Hiruzen essentially just being informed of Orochimaru's presence, with Naruto explaining to Hiruzen that there was this guy with like white skin and like purple looking paint on his face. Hiruzen would immediately be on high alert, and when he is informed of Orochimaru's presence, the last week of I remember I said it was 2 weeks worth of Naruto training for the flying Raijin. Let's say that instead of that, it's going to be 3 days. He learns the flying Raijin in 3 days. Sasuke still ends up training with Kakashi. However, his training would end up being halted because of this one thing. When Hiruzen is informed of Orochimaru's encounter with Naruto, he is immediately on high alert, and so he ends up summoning Jiraiya and Kakashi and Naruto to his office, to which he ends up explaining to all of them that if Orochimaru was to have even suspected that Naruto would be the 10 Tails Jinchuriki, Orochimaru would stop at nothing to try to take Naruto's body. Not only that, but he would also probably tell the rest of the other villages in order to get what he wants. And like just Jiraiya and Kakashi understanding the scale of the situation, with Kakashi understanding that Naruto is actually the Jinchuriki of the 10 Tails, the beast that actually ended up killing his father in this version. Let's just say that instead he didn't know what he would have to kill himself in order for Kakashi to learn the lesson of teammates. So let's just say the 10 Tails ended up killing some of his old teammates that he ended up having with him, like some Genin team that he had before. Yeah, just go with that. All right, so yeah, he ended up killing some random ninja who he used to work with. That was pretty cool with him. And yeah, so after this point, we basically have Hiruzen, Kakashi, Naruto, and Jiraiya. No, not Hiruzen though, but this team of 3 essentially sent out to find Orochimaru and literally bring him back to the Leaf Village. He is not to be left, like, he's not to be killed, because Orochimaru obviously will probably come back some way. And so instead, what they want to do to Orochimaru is simply bring him back to the Leaf Village. And so we basically have 3 weeks worth of time for all of this, for, you know, Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin who has a spy network on Orochimaru, Naruto, who is just a tank of a person and also ends up just kind of meeting Jiraiya and understanding that, you know, Jiraiya is actually his godfather, with Naruto already knowing that Minato is his, you know, his father. And Kakashi would actually tell him stories about how Minato was actually his Jonin instructor once upon a time. Naruto would end up learning a lot about his father during this mission, but he would also keep in mind that this isn't some like playful, like have fun mission. This is something that could literally determine how the world like goes on to play out, you know what I mean? And so we basically have it to which Jiraiya, Kakashi, and Naruto end up finding Orochimaru at one of his bases, who is simply like literally just tinkering with a bunch of people, trying to like just figure out how to become immortal, obviously, with Naruto just kind of sensing the chakra signal of Orochimaru. They all end up basically barging in there. Now, when they do, the first person that they would see would be a Kinimaru, who is just like in pain at this point. Kinimaru at this point hasn't gotten as weak as he was when he fought against like Rock Lee and Gaara. So Kinimaru would stand up in front of Jiraiya and Kakashi, but they don't have the time. Naruto would throw a punch right at the ground, cracking the ground beneath Kinimaru, as he would be sent into the air, and immediately Jiraiya, or no, not Jiraiya, but Kakashi would say, "Chidori," as he would jump up into the air with his lightning blade piercing right into Kinimaru's heart. Now, Kinimaru did try to use his Bone Cake Genkai to block the area, but Jiraiya was actually able to use one of his Toad Jutsus to essentially, no, not Tojutsu, but he used the sound Genjutsu to paralyze Kinimaru's movements. And so Kakashi was able to simply pierce right through his heart. As they would end up rushing into Orochimaru's hideout, they would end up finally seeing and confronting Orochimaru. This would lead to a very big, like, heated battle, which would essentially lead to Orochimaru's downfall. And this is around like the 2-week mark. So Orochimaru would end up being captured by both Jiraiya, Kakashi, and Naruto, and seeing as these are all very, very powerful high-ranking ninjas, they were definitely able to take down Orochimaru. Now, Jiraiya himself probably would have given Orochimaru the works, but Kakashi there as well, using a Sharingan and not holding anything back, understanding what this mission has to do for the world, and with Naruto not wanting the secret of the 10 Tails to be let loose, they would all be going all out from the beginning, not even having no warm-up round, nothing like that, not testing the waters. There was nothing of that. So they end up fighting. And with this, Orochimaru was taken back to the village, where this is where we would basically have Hiruzen essentially tell Jiraiya that they will be needing a new Hokage. As like Hiruzen quite literally just walks over towards Orochimaru's body, who has a bunch of seals on him, on his body, his mouth, and everything. And like Hiruzen just looks at him and he basically just says that this is a sacrifice for the world to stay intact. That if Orochimaru was to have spread this secret, the world could fall into chaos once more. And Orochimaru would smile, saying, "I knew he was the 10 Tails Jinchuriki," you know, kind of barely letting that out from the seal within his mouth. And it's at this point that just Orochimaru would quite literally just like be sealed with the Death Reaper, with the Reaper of Deaths, like a sealing jutsu. Orochimaru would use this jutsu and this time successfully steal all of Orochimaru's soul. Meaning Orochimaru was not going to be coming back. Not from no curse mark, not from a clone that he had laying down. No plot armor. We don't need Orochimaru part of this story. Hiruzen successfully was able to seal away Orochimaru, and with that, they needed a new Hokage. So obviously what ends up happening in this version isn't that like Jiraiya is basically able to be like, no, because he literally just watched his instructor, the person who taught him how to do all of the things that he could do, literally give his soul away. Something that like nobody would ever want to do. So Jiraiya, seeing this, would, out of a sign of respect, agree to take the position of Hokage for Hiruzen, meaning they never end up having to summon Tsunade over to the village, and with that, they basically end up having Naruto, like just with Jiraiya. Now, during this point, we basically have it to which Jiraiya now is the Hokage for the village, which actually shocks a bunch of people, because they're just like, why would you switch Hokages mid-Chunin exams? But that aside, they end up, of course, having the battles. Naruto just completely stops Neji. If normal Naruto could do it, I don't even have to go over this. Neji just gets stomped. Sasuke ends up having to fight against Rock Lee, and this would be a very nice battle, but at the end of the day, Rock Lee still had the upper hand on Sasuke. At this point, he was actually able to access the 5th gate, and Sasuke simply didn't have enough time to train with Kakashi or get to the same level that Rock Lee at this point would be at. So Sasuke ends up sadly being washed by Lee. And with that ends up coming a period where it's kind of a lot different than the original story, because Sasuke never ends up leaving the village, meaning no Sasuke retrieval arc. Tsunade never ends up becoming the Hokage, so there was never any point for her to have that happen. And so we basically end up falling into a time period where they all end up staying in the village, with nobody really knowing of the Akatsuki's existence for wanting to, find the Ten Tails. They still do exist, but they don't know where the Ten Tails is. Obito included, he does not know where the Ten Tails is at, and he hasn't quite literally been able to put the pieces together. So we have a 3-year time skip. Actually, no, not 3-year. Let's say 5-year time skip. And during this time, Naruto would have ended up growing a lot older. Like Naruto would be very like a lot older, and at this point, way more access to all of the Ten Tails abilities. He still by himself actually uses a transformation jutsu active at all times, like Tsunade does when she uses her jutsu to stay young all the time. That's pretty much what Naruto does in order to make sure that nobody can tell that he is the Ten Tails Jinchuriki. Now, obviously, during all this time, we basically have it so that Naruto would have ended up pretty much just kind of staying in the village, not really causing any problems for anybody or anything. And it's at this point that Obito would still be looking throughout the lands with the Akatsuki, wondering where this Ten Tails is at. But finally, after all these years, it would have finally clicked in his head. Wait, the kid, the child, Minato, he must have made him the Jinchuriki. Minato but Obito would finally realize that Minato probably made his son the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, and that's why the Ten Tails hasn't been spotted in any of the lands. Immediately, as soon as Obito realizes this, he just has this like crazy revelation moment where he just calls himself an idiot, wonders why he never had this thought ever cross his head, and he would pretty much end up informing the rest of the villages where the Ten Tails is, informing them all that the Leaf Village has been hoarding the power of the Ten Tails for as long as they know. And with that revelation, a lot of the other villages basically end up deciding that they are going to be waging war on the Leaf Village, meaning an all-out brawl against every single other village versus the Leaf Village. Not only that, but Obito basically has it so that all of the other villages ended up working with the Akatsuki in order to gain the power of the Ten Tails. And with that, Obito basically made up a fake plan about how they were going to be using the power of the Ten Tails and distributing evenly among all of the nations, telling them about his plan to pretty much split the Ten Tails into different beings. And with that, the villages all basically ended up agreeing, believing Obito's nonsensical plan. Obviously, the plan is doable, seeing as Hagoromo did it, but Obito wouldn't actually know how to do it. He didn't exactly create the Ten Tails or any of that, so it's kind of a flawed plan, and the rest of the 5 great nations are kind of just going along with it. Some of the only ninjas that would have kind of been against it would be somebody like Gaara, Tamari, not Kankuro. Kankuro would have not really cared and kind of not really liked the Leaf Village, but Gaara would have actually ended up making a pretty good friendship with Naruto, and Tamari had a pretty big crush on him. So immediately she sent out a letter informing Naruto of this. Now at this point, Naruto in the original canon would have been like 13 years old by the time of the Chunin exams. And then I had a 4-year time skip, which Naruto had all that time to essentially master the abilities of the Ten Tails, meaning he ended up finally becoming a perfect Ten Tails host. And he was finally able to access all of the Ten Tails abilities, meaning stuff like the orbs that he basically was able to have behind him, the truth-seeking orbs. Yeah, he has access to those now. And like just a lot of the very OP abilities that Ten Tails is able to offer, Naruto has access to a whole lot of things just around that notion. So when the war is basically staged, everybody would be on very high alert, and Itachi, not exactly wanting to attack Konoha and hurt his brother, is kind of just left with this dilemma of like, do I fight Sasuke sooner or later, or do I end up helping the Leaf Village? Because he did everything that he did to basically save the Leaf Village and have his brother stay safe. But if the Akatsuki is willing to wage war on the Leaf Village, then Itachi just doesn't know what to do. But Obito realizes this and capitalizes, deciding that he needs to get rid of Itachi before Itachi is able to even help the Leaf Village. So we have an all-out brawl between Obito and Itachi, which actually lasts about 2 hours before Itachi's body finally ends up giving out. Now, he obviously did whip out stuff like the Susanoo, the Amaterasu, and all of his OP abilities like the Tsukiyomi, but Obito using his Kamui Dimension abilities as well as many of his other assets that he has with him, and the Akatsuki helping him, it was just a complete wash. Itachi ended up dying before Sasuke was even able to realize his dream of slaying his older brother, and so we finally have the day where all of the great nations end up trying to attack Konoha. With that, all of the great nations would quite literally stand outside of the village gates, as we would have the village hidden in the clouds, the village hidden in the rocks or something like that, the village hidden by the the boulders, I don't know, but the Mist Village, the freaking yeah, I think it is just the Mist Village, the village in the clouds, the village hidden in the rain. I don't know. Just know all the villages basically ended up arriving there, and they were not very happy about what ended up going down and how the Leaf Village has been having the Ten Tails Jinchuriki with them and never ended up informing them. So they're all basically ready to throw hands with the Leaf Village. But it's at this point that Naruto, having heard of what was literally about to happen, would fly up into the air, and he would quite literally stop using his transformation jutsu in order to keep his skin looking normal. He would stop it completely, as he would float above everything and everybody, telling them all that his name is Naruto Uzumaki, and that he is the Ten Tails Jinchuriki. Immediately the Raikage would speak up, saying, "Boy, get down here. You need to have that Ten Tails extracted. The Leaf having this much power on their side is simply unfair. It makes the power balance unfair." Naruto would look at the Raikage as he would just chuckle, saying, "Exactly. It's unfair. And for you all to simply arrive on my village, the village which I am in charge of protecting, to try to overthrow us and take the beast inside of me? How do you think we take that? Yeah, I was given the Ten Tails at birth, but it was not by choice. It was against my will. And now that I have full mastery of it, I'm only gonna say this once. Leave." As all everybody there would just start chuckling, laughing, saying, "One man versus 4 great nations, and the Akatsuki don't make us laugh." After this, Naruto would literally just look at everybody as he would say, "I warned you," as he would have all of the truth-seeking orbs expand and throw them at the rest of the villages, like literally throwing them at all the great nations, warriors, literally obliterating over half of the people he was going to be fighting. Like all of them would be turned to straight dust. And it's at this point that Naruto would create a bunch of rods out of them, as he would shoot them at the Akatsuki members that were literally present. Now, they were not able to do a thing. Keep in mind, guys, by the time that Jinchuriki Obito was able to, Jubito,
was able to access the Ten Tails, it was just a different, he was a different monster. This man was way too OP, way too broken. Nobody was able to even handle him. And with that comes Naruto being way too broken. Nobody's able to handle him either. Naruto would activate a mode with the Ten Tails that he was barely able to access about like 1 year ago, as he would close his eyes and open them, as he would activate a senjutsu, which he actually ended up learning courtesy of Pervy Sage, Toad Sage mode. Now, when he activates, actually not Toad Sage mode, yeah, Toad Sage mode, all right? He would activate this, and then a cloak of the Ten Tails would appear behind him, as he would look exactly like what he looks like in the thumbnail. Similar to KCM2, Naruto would access this incredible, powerful, like chakra mode, as it would be a purple aura, and Naruto would just blitz at Akatsuki members, as he would just spin around, grab them, rip arms off, literally shoot like truth-seeking orbs into people, causing their bodies to just disintegrate and melt away. And when it comes down to Obito, Naruto was able to negate his little Kamui ability. And all of the attacks that many of the people were able to actually throw at Naruto did not do jack anything. They weren't able to hurt him. Naruto cannot be hurt by any attacks that aren't senjutsu based. So after Naruto obliterated the Akatsuki and literally half of their forces, he just flew back down as he asked them if they were ready to give up. But the Raikage would like just be fueled by rage. He would just simply say no, as he would turn on his like Raikage cloak, his lightning cloak that is, as he would rush at Naruto's direction. But Naruto would see it in slow motion as he would dodge out of the way, grab Raikage A's arm as he just rips it off of his body. And it's at this point that the Raikage would yell out in pain, just be like, ah! As the rest of the great nations like just shinobi just like stare at this, as a lot of them are just like stepping back in fear. A lot of them are just getting ready to leave. They do not want any of the smoke. And so Naruto just turns his attentions towards the rest of the village like leaders, as they literally at this point are being held hostage by Naruto. If Naruto truly wanted to, he could obliterate every single one of them using the truth-seeking orbs, as like that's literally all he would need. Or the seal that he could basically create like a gigantic box, having it so that none of them could even leave that area. He could use that as well. And so Naruto, being very merciful, would look at their direction as he would say, last chance. You can leave now and stop this foolishness, or die in vain. As every single person just like, yeah bro, I think I forgot my wallet at home. You know, they all just leave. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where What If Naruto Was the 10 Tails Jinchuriki is going to be ending. If you guys at any point of this story ended up enjoying any little piece of the story, then please consider going down below and smashing that like button. We're going for a grand total of 3,000 likes for this part. So if you guys ended up enjoying this movie full series, then please consider going down below. As well as consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you never miss another banger of a video. With that being said though guys, I love each and every single one of you guys. It has been your boy Zether, and I am out. Peace.